Well, Hawaii is less than halfway to its goal of completely using renewable energy resources.
Now, the state wants to increase green fuels. It also wants to reduce carbon emissions. KITV4's Paul Drews shows us how the state's biggest energy producer is planning to do that.
When you think of zero emissions, you might think of electric vehicles instead of these gas-guzzling ones. Well, Hawaiian Electric wants to do the same with its power plants and electrical systems, reducing its carbon emissions to zero. Hawaii has a goal of reducing its carbon emissions to zero in just over 20 years.
So we have to emit less greenhouse gases than what we use as a state. So that's basically the carbon negative goal, or the greenhouse gas negative goal. And we're not going to get there simply through electrification. It's just not feasible.
But electrification is a way to cut down on using fossil fuels and is part of the state's goal of using 100% renewable fuels by the year 2045. In order to do so, Hawaiian Electric wants to use new technology and energy production methods while expanding current programs already in place.
Whether it is geothermal or hydrogen or biomass or biofuels, ocean thermal energy conversion. There's so much potential out there, and we want to make sure we can take advantage of it, when it becomes practical for our customers.
HECO would also like to get more residents to produce and store their own energy because an estimated 40,000 more rooftop solar systems need to go in. When it comes to large projects, HECO aims to add 7 times the amount of production from all the current wind and solar farms combined.
They need to put far more emphasis on distributed generation within communities, because that is popular, and it's not so popular for communities to face large-scale commercial projects in their neighborhoods.
That is why part of Hawaiian Electric's proposed integrated grid plan could provide some benefits to communities where those big projects go in.
If you say to a community, we will give you a 25% reduction in your electrical rate for having a large solar farm more than a half a mile from residences, that might be something that would be acceptable. So it's really community by community.
People may be concerned about the additional cost of all this new technology, worrying it could drive up their electric bill.
Customer bills will hopefully remain flat as we move forward here.
Darren adds initial cost may be higher, but in the long run, costs for renewable energy could be lower and more stable than with oil, which can sometimes wildly fluctuate in price.
A healthy mix of a lot of different sources of generation is really going to be the future that we're moving towards. We've seen what happens when we're overly reliant upon any one source of energy. So having a good mix is really good for our future.
Take a look at this chart showing how the price of electricity jumped when the price of oil spiked last year. But Kauai, which has higher renewable energy usage and less reliance on oil, saw the least change in price.
That decoupling from the fuel markets, from the fossil fuel markets through renewable energy that we can control here locally, really will help us bring much more stability and control to our energy prices going forward. And that can only benefit everybody.
Hawaiian Electric's integrated grid plan is now being reviewed by the Public Utilities Commission to see if it works for communities and the state. Paul Drews, KITV4 Island News.